Today, we are going to cover the very important part of the United Nations that relates to the use of force, the power, and the war. These are some of the terms we face every day. In fact, right from the beginning, human beings have faced war, the use of power in different dimensions, and in the modern times, it is preferably defined as use of force. So the discussion today is on use of force and the ways this use of force is managed. I mean to say the power, which is very fundamental part of the existence of human beings and the society of states, that how in history this power is managed. I am Iqbalur Rahman. I am in the Department of Political Science of Aligarh Muslim University. I teach different areas relating to the subject, but my focus is on organizations. Before I move ahead, dear students, I think it would be quite appropriate for me to explain to you so that you can understand what is the use of force. We can equate the use of force with war. War, in fact, carries limited meaning. It is about the use of armed forces by one state against another. The term use of force is much more than war. It includes the use of power by different states against other states to threaten their political independence in matters not justiciable under the Charter of the United Nations. This global organization of states, in its charter, did not use the term war. Instead, it uses the term use of force to refer to the situations whereby one state can threaten, violate the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the Charter of the United Nations. And the human beings, the states, whatever of the kind of the political grouping existed, they have always attempted to address this issue of management of power. Greek scholar Thucydides believed that relations between states are based primarily on force rather than on law and morality. This ancient worldview given by Thucydides has not much changed till today. The realist holds that a state can protect its interest only through force. The real problem of our time is to achieve the active management of power relations of states. The world is constituted as a system of independent and interdependent states. independent in authority, but interdependent in their common pursuits. This is the fact which we see today. It exists. We observe it. States are characterized by questions in varying degrees of this capacity to damage or to destroy each other. This may be used in competitive struggles, producing destruction on the large scale. It may be used unilaterally or collectively. In short, we can say both survival and freedom are implicated in the problem of power. We cannot do away with the problem of power. It is realistically not a problem to be eliminated. It cannot be eliminated. We cannot wish that it doesn't exist. It exists. It is part of us. It is part of us. Each state struggles for it. This is the reality. States inherently, in fact, possess and retain the capacity to physical violence to each other. The basic postulate is that there will always be human groups which will be capable of damaging each other. They can be ultimately be deprived of this capacity. They cannot be ultimately be deprived of this capacity. The issue will remain whether power exists, force is used, war happens. It will always be whether power is subjected to management, because unmanaged power becomes the primary cause for scourges of war. Management of power, use of force, and prevention of war in history has been done by humanity by different mechanisms. The most significant mechanism are the balance of power and the collective security. We look at the history of the balance of power. What is it? How it came into being? How it was practiced in the past? In what way it is in use today? Balance of power is one of the models of security. States through this system try to maneuver their relations to protect their interest, to avoid war. And in case if war happens, to win that war. So this is the oldest system, is still practiced by the states for power management to prevent war. This is a realist construction. David Hume, a noted scholar, sees it as a scientific law. Glenn Elder observes it as a central theoretical concept of international relations. Henry Kissinger, very famous diplomat, thinks that it is the iron law of politics, indicating that it is more art than science, more skillfully practiced by some states in relation to others. Richard Coben, a scholar of relations, says that it is just a fantasy, just a collection of sounds without meaning. John Bright thinks that it is an illusion, inherited from the past. But the fact remains, my dear students, state is still practice it. It was practiced in the past and it is still in use. Despite variations in its meaning, all that converts into one is defined as the interaction between the states which ensure the survival of the system by preventing domination of any state or collision of states so that they cannot impose their will upon the others. Balance of power depends upon the symmetry of force and distribution of power in the international system, that no state or group of states shall become strong enough to impose its will. This system works to preserve peace for those who are part of the system. It does not ensure peace for all. In practice, the balance of power system has proved to be temporary and unstable. This is its nature. And to be effective, it must be changing and dynamic, because a real balance of power seldom exists. The only test of the balance is war. It accepts war as reality. And when war breaks out, the balance comes to end. War is a situation which this device seeks to prevent, and when it breaks out, the balance of power comes to an end. Therefore, it is not a primary device of peace, because it admits war as a means for maintaining balance. The period of 1815 and 1914, from Congress of Vienna of 1815 and the outbreak of the First World War in 1914, is regarded as the golden age of balance of power. During this period, it was seen as a fundamental law of international relations. It broke down due to the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. Balance of power system, as I said, is not new. It grew out of the many centuries of relations. States used it, practiced it, because this was the only way through which their survival was made possible. Alliances, open and secret alliances. This was there in the history of evolution of the history of international relations. In the theory of balance of power, there are two basic assumptions. The assumptions are of central relevance. First is the international system is considered to be anarchic. This is the reality. All students of political science They know this fact that the international system is anarchic, where there is no authority, no system-wide authority, no global authority which is capable of formally enforcing itself upon its agents, upon the states. In the self-help nature of the system, the anarchic system promotes the realist worldview that self-help is the best help. States do not have a world government to resort to in a situation of danger, but they can only try to increase their capabilities relative to one another through either internal efforts of self-strengthening or external efforts of alignment and realignment with other states. Secondly, states are the principal actors in international system. As the states set the terms of intercourse, they monopolized, they legitimized the use of force within their territories and generally conduct foreign policy, their relations in accordance to their interest. These two core assumptions, I would say, about the international system have been widely accepted, not only in realism and neorealism, but also in neoliberal institutionalism, and to some extent in constructivism as well. Self-help project requires balance of power. Balance of power can be achieved either by internal balancing or external balancing. Internal balancing is the internal buildup of military capabilities as well as economic capabilities as a foundation to strengthen the military power. External balancing is the formation of alliances with the like-minded countries against the prospective hostile states or the aggressors. This system gained much leverage during the Cold War. This period is considered a textbook case of bipolarity. Bipolarity, which existed right after the creation of the United Nations. Despite many changes which world has faced, many new ideas to control, to manage power, to check the use of force, the fact remains that balance of power is in practice. States practice it. They use it. They still find this system of management of power, management of uses of power is still very relevant. China, we take the case as we see today. China has been growing at very exorbitant rate. Russia also has rebuilt itself after the collapse of the 1990s. India has also risen. This series of events has caused a transition in the international system, lacking the clarity about the direction in which the world order is evolving. What shape it is going to take, we cannot predict. Things are happening and they are fluid in nature. The balance of powers changes very quickly. History tells this to us. Almost in an instant, several conflicts have surfaced. They are happening. The war in Ukraine, the war in Palestine between Hamas and Israel, many other conflicts, they are there, and many other threats exist where war can happen, violence can be used. Everything in this situation has become less predictable, and therefore fear emerges, because when there is uncertainty regarding the future, this question, how to address this? One way to address this question is balancing the balance of power system. This security model remains are used to survive in the anarchic international system. Balance of power system. As I said, that it is a realist construct. It is used to manage security. It is used to manage the power, the uses of power. Actually, this is a system. We see that it is a system which is based on the idea of deterrence. Through deterrence, avoiding war. At the same time, accepting war as the reality. So in order to prevent war, what this system produces, it does not produce security. It does not create peace in reality. Actually, it produces insecurity. A kind of the system of insecurity which is referred as security dilemma. What is meant by the term security dilemma? That this security dilemma encourages arms race. production of weapons. Arms production by one state is always seen by other group as threat to itself. If we take the case of Cold War time, US development of weapons, armament done by US, it was always taken as a threat by Soviet Union to itself. If we take that analogy in case of India and Pakistan, or India or China in the present context, we would describe within this domain of balance of power, security dilemma, that efforts made by India to protect itself, to secure itself, would always be seen by Pakistan as threat to itself. So this system in reality does not create security. It creates insecurity in practice. So the viability of this system of security, this model of security, the balance of power, though it is in operation, it is in practice, is questionable. So dependable peace, genuine peace, cooperative peace, which is the requirement for the establishment of peace, for the establishment of security at the global level, this system does not serve this purpose. Balance of power continues to the other system, which is the antithesis of this system, the collective security, was a very revolutionary idea which the humanity has actually worked on and accepted for the establishment of international peace and security, despite the fact that the system of balance of power remains in operation. It is in the service of the states, and in Asia Pacific region, we see that there is balancing happening. China is rising. South China Sea is in question. America, India, Japan, and some other forces are there. They are trying to contain China so that it should not emerge as a power to reckon with, as a power to impose its will upon the other states or the group of states. So we see that this is happening in reality, and the collective security system cannot address these kind of issues. I hope, my dear students, that this discussion today on balance of system, balance of power system, the security model through which the states try to prevent war in international system, that has given you a sense that what it is, how it creates peace, and in practice, how it has not been very dependable system of maintaining international peace and security. So thereby, I think you would be able to analyze things relating to maintenance of peace, management of power, uses of foreign international system through this system on your own, in your own way, independently, critically, to the cases of security, to the cases of uses of balance of power system to address the management of power in international system. Thank you, dear students.